Hello, everybody, and welcome to our brand new product, Waterloo Actually Works. So, looking at our problem space, we're looking at the website Waterloo Works, which is the University of Waterloo's co-op finding system that aims to connect students with possible employers, facilitate interviews, and extend offers. Due to a number of usability and feature-related problems, this goal is not achieved. There are many options that are lacking surrounding job filtering with salary locations and other kind of options that students want to look through. And there's a surplus of redundant features such as repetitive tabs and whatnot. There's also a lack of security for students where offers on Waterloo Works don't actually come with a signed contract. And most of all, it just isn't fun to use.
So considering our project overviews and goals, the overall goal is to create an interface that facilitates the connection, interview, and matching process between employers and students with an interface that actually caters to users' individual interests and needs like job type filtering, location, and etc. And overall is easy and intuitive to use. The target user for something like this would be students who want to connect with co-op employers in order to interview for and find co-op jobs. So considering the key features and tasks that we wanted to hit with this product, we actually decided to model it after the Tinder application, so it utilizes the swipe left to right to match students with jobs on a mobile device. And some key features that we wanted to provide in our application were profile management, job browsing with swipe left and right functionality, matching when both the student and the employer swipe right, messaging to facilitate communication between student and potential employers or their advisors, interview scheduling and hosting of these interviews, and finally, all the way to job offer and acceptance flow, which is incorporated into our messaging feature. So our redesign process was very iterative. We actually took 5 iterations that kind of built upon each other to build our final product. So our first iterative redesign was the creation of the initial horizontal prototype, where we heavily utilized a lot of our feedback that we had on Milestone 1 and 2. And the redesign rationale was essentially to remove unintuitive buttons such as the plus and minus for the section editing flow from Milestone 1 and 2. And we also just overall wanted to create a higher fidelity prototype and modeling of on-screen interactions using Figma so that it can be used as a base for some of our future iterations.
For iteration 2, we conducted Think Aloud user testing. And then we decided, based on the feedback we got, to change the feed to browse jobs, enabling users to recognize what the purpose of the page was. We also made booking functionality for interviews visible. And we added a search function with filters for job browsing, which enables students to browse more efficiently. For iteration 3, we conducted accessibility testing, focusing on the color scheme and touch target sizing. So we found that our color contrast didn't meet the guidelines for normal text or large text. And we also found that 12 of our touch targets didn't meet the requirement for being at least 34 by 34 pixels. So then for iteration 4, we made these fixes for accessibility. You can see the changes highlighted on the right. We also conducted a brief review just to make sure nothing was missed before the final iteration, because there were some requirements that we pushed to further iterations just because they were taking more time to implement. And then finally, for iteration 5, a few highlights of changes that we made. We added error prevention in on job offer confirmation. So basically, they have to sign before they accept a job, and this gives the user more space between their decision and the outcome. We also added browsing improvements from iteration 2. So basically, just changing 2 checkboxes rather than the radio buttons. We also added a scroll bar, so users knew that that was something they could do. And then it's basically all we wanted to highlight. And I can show you more of what we did. Here's our final prototype. So you can log in, show your password. Do this flow. Okay, and then if you go to filter, just change some options, find a job. I'm like, wow. You go to interviews, select, and you can just join them on the app, right? And so say it goes well, you hang up, go back to your messages. Wow, you got an offer. This is so cool. You can review your offer. And then if you're into it, you can accept, at which point you can type or draw in your signature, or you can go back at any time. You can decline the offer or just X out, basically. But if you accept, it'll say offer accepted, automatically confirmed, and everything's done through the messaging feature because typically your employers just end up emailing you after Waterloo Works, so it makes sense to just have it all done here.
So after we did this, we conducted 2 heuristic evaluations in groups of 2 people. The groups consisted of 1 expert and 1 non-expert, and the expert explained to the non-expert what a heuristic evaluation was and how to use the Figma interface. And some of the problems we found were consistency issues. So first of all, the message proper from a match went to the interview page, which was fixed in the final prototype now. And error prevention issues, such as when you log in, there's no confirmation. It just pushes you straight to the browsing page. The interview scheduling page should not have some employers are not available 24/7, so there should be grayed out. And 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 once you actually browse through pages through jobs, you can't actually go back to them. So there should be a back button implemented on the browsing page. A scroll bar should be added to other pages other than the profile, and other just small cosmetic issues that could be fixed are adding a filter option, um, making the filter option a button that stands out more.
And to conclude, we'll talk about the lessons learned throughout this whole process. Most importantly, the feedback is extremely important at every step. Without this, it is very easy to end up with a product-centered design rather than a user-centered one. And the significance of using different evaluation techniques, because each technique provides a different set of insight, which helps develop the product in a completely different way. And of course, last but not least, teamwork. We learned how important teamwork is at each step, and you could say we made lifelong lasting relationships throughout this whole project. So thank you so much for listening to our presentation, and have a good day.